What about that bond market question about whether people will sell America and lose confidence in our country? What would you say?
I think as long as we have the liquidity here, Connell, they're not going to sell America. Now, do they always agree with us? Of course not. But I think overall, the fact that you've got liquidity here in bushel baskets, if you will,
right,
versus what you have overseas, it's not at all the same. You can get in and out of 7,000 or 8,000 different stocks in America, like with a blink of an eye or the snap of a finger. It's not the same in Europe. It's not the same in Japan or in Asia. So I think as long as we have that, people really do want access to the markets and access out of the markets when they want out. So I would say that liquidity is the biggest factor.
You know, it's funny, Pete, those issues, and what John brings up is an example, liquidity. There's a bunch of issues, I feel like, in our system that kind of give us these, you could almost say they're built-in advantages that we have that in some weird way kind of prevent us from ever getting our act together fiscally, don't they, in some ways?
Yeah, I would say that's true as well. You know, John talked about the accessibility. I mean, there is no place like the U.S. when it comes to that, right? Yep. I mean, especially when you look at the derivatives markets and all the different things that are out there that people are looking to do to get their investments across. And I find it very interesting that the hedge funds are finding themselves behind the eight ball right now, right? I mean, they seem to be selling when the retailers are buying, and retail investors are buying, and they're getting at the lows, and they're getting it pushed to the upside.
So the retail, that was the dumb money, not this time, right? Not this time. So what would you both say? Pete, you start, then John, in the limited time. So what should those people, those retail investors, be thinking about right now, given all the tariff stuff? Moody's is telling us kind of what we already know, that we're a fiscal mess. Pete, you first. What should people be thinking about in terms of investing their own money right now? Big picture.
Well, I would say this. Moody's is really late to the game, right? I mean, it's absolutely, this was not shocking, I think, for anybody. We get this news this morning, the market starts to sell off, and then all of a sudden we start to get those retail investors coming back into the markets. And I think the reason that they're coming back into there, as John pointed out, liquidity is a very big deal. I think that's something that is certainly one of the prize spots that people want to have. But I think that the reality is they're just still looking, and they're seeing, what did the earnings do this quarter? Again, and it's done this quarter after quarter. We've had these huge numbers, these big beats, 78%, I think, right now, are beats. So I think that what they're looking at is, here's the real numbers. I'm not listening to the surveys. The surveys are absolutely ridiculous that come out. They tell us how bad everything it is.
On consumer sentiment and stuff,
The consumer sentiment. But then all of a sudden we find out that the companies themselves are big.
And they're making money. And the U.S. stock market is driven by how much money the companies make. All right, John, you agree with that? And what would you add to it before we go?
I think we're looking at a situation where people are more a buy of the dip mentality. They're back into that mode. For about a month and a half, Connell, they were not in that mode, whether it was institutional or whether it's retail. But as Pete said, the retail was pulling the trigger first and getting back in. And now the institutions are playing catch up. So I'd say keep your eye on the 10-year rate and see where we go next with that.
I don't know if you guys saw the movie Dumb Money, but I'm in it. I made an appearance in that movie. Very, oh yeah, there's a clip of us. Very, very good. All right, Jon and Pete, the Najarian brothers. Thank you both. All right, we're gonna get to this weather. So we have a great.